This is Kathy Biehl of EmpowermentUnlimited.net with Astro Insight for the week of January 10th, 2022. Time is such a strange experience right now, don't you think? It feels like we're suspended in time in a place outside of time, and yet when you look at the calendar, time is ticking along. Well, that oddness continues and actually even escalates this week because we have contacts to the planet Neptune, which unhinges us from reality, and then Mercury stations retrograde, which will add to the slowness, the where am I, the confusion. It's not necessarily bad, it's just a little unhinging from mundane reality. Now, mundane reality continues no matter what we do, no matter how spacey we get. There continues to be a significant emphasis on real-world ramifications, on goals, on where are we heading, thanks to the Sun and Venus retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. And by the end of the week, we get extraordinarily clear about what that means for us. But in the meantime, it's a kind of otherworldly journey. On the 10th, there's an opportunity aspect between the Sun and Neptune that invites us to ease up on ourselves, to be kinder to ourselves than perhaps we have been, to give ourselves a break. This sextile is an excellent link for creativity, for insight, for inspiration. And if it plays out as taking it easy, watching a bunch of movies, listening to music, zoning out, so what? It's a nice time out. If you do yoga, by the way, or any kind of body-centered practice, this is extremely beneficial for you. But then the unhinging ramps up a bit. Mars, planet of action, planet of shove, is in a harsh challenge of a square with Neptune, the cosmic fog machine. This will pump up the fog. This may highlight or spit out more lies, misinformation, gaslighting. It could also provide the motivation to fight that. And while we're hanging out in we're not quite sure what, Mercury is slowing to a halt for his first retrograde of the year. Mercury retrograde in the sign of Aquarius, where he's comfortable. It's an air sign. There's a lot of objectivity, looking at the big picture rather than the individual details. In this journey, he's going to gradually go back into Earth, into Capricorn, which is his pattern for the first 3 of this year's 4 retrogrades: air to earth, thought, concept, lots of information down to real-world ramifications and what are we going to do about it. As he slows and grinds to a halt and we feel increasingly like we're just suspended in, well, not even sure it's time, we're not sure what, the stillness provides the room to see a lot of things wildly differently. It provides the room for startling, shocking, disruptive information to come through. Mercury's station is accompanied by a hard, demanding aspect of a square, again, to his crazy genius uncle, Uranus, which will dislodge lightning like nuts. It will knock a lot of things into a different viewpoint, into a different framework. It flips a switch in our brains, in our thinking, in our information flow, in the collective. Mercury's in Aquarius. And then he begins his slow floating back through the sign of Aquarius, and we look around and see things quite differently So, this retrograde, with all of its usual fun and games of snarls and malfunctions and miscommunications, will also have a fresh perspective, a new pair of lenses on the information on the ground that we're re-traveling. Look at this as a personal research project. You could learn a lot of stuff that's incredibly useful, and by the 16th, you will begin to assimilate all that has happened since mid-December and get extraordinarily clear about who you are, what your power is, what you have control over, what you don't have control over. You'll hit a point of this far and no further, no more tolerations, rewriting yourself. Think of it as a phoenix moment of stripping away whatever has outlived its usefulness in terms of how you proceed in the world, how you view yourself, stepping into what your power is and knowing it at a minimum, an increased level of self-awareness. So the slowness and the fog can continue as it will. You know yourself better and better no matter what is going on outside of you. Homing thought of the week. Show me another way to look at this. Song of the week, I have two, Hand in My Pocket by Alanis Morissette and Be Yourself by Audioslave. And the image of the week is a dark night sky and a flash of lightning briefly illuminating a field. You'll learn more about this in my Guide to Handling Mercury Retrograde, which is at Om Times. Look for the link below. And also in my forecast for the month of January, which is up at my site, empowermentunlimited.net, where you can sign up for my mailing list and get a Jupiter in Pisces quick reference guide as a thank you, order a personal tarot video overview of the year, and book a session with me. I'm Kathy Biehl, a professional astrologer with more than 30 years' experience. I host the show Celestial Compass on Om Times Radio on the first and third Mondays of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern. I also host lively conversation on Facebook at Empowerment Unlimited and the group, the Astro Insight Lounge. I have lots of bonus content currently weighted towards 2022 at patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, and I'm really grateful to the people who continue to support my work there. I'm on Instagram at @KABiehl and on YouTube at the Professional Aquarian Channel. Talk to you next week.